From pits to praise, Eugene's downtown has come a long way over the last 4 years.
But how did it happen and what still needs to be done? Well, tonight, KZI 9 News anchor Bob Shaper takes a look at the momentum that we've built and what's holding us back.
I think that's when it hit us pretty hard.
For Diane Lewis, the owner of Easter Framing and Gallery, the low point in Eugene's downtown came in 2009.
We ended up closing our other store for a while.
There were 2 pits just down the street, literally, enormous holes that seemed to suck all the energy out of downtown.
And I think they were pits in the surface of our downtown, but for most people in the community, they were sort of an illustration of things being down and being stuck.
Mayor Kitty Piercy inherited the pits when she took office in 2005. At the time, turning around downtown seemed like an impossible task.
People really were kind of psychologically feeling like we would never be able to turn that corner.
It was time for a new strategy.
We changed our focus to make one thing happen, make 1 or 2 things happen.
David Hauser, president of the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce, says leaders turned their attention to incremental change, a fancy term for baby steps. The first 2 projects, filling the pit on 10th Avenue, an old Sears store, with Lane Community College's downtown campus. Construction on that building began in March 2011. About the same time, work started on rehabbing the Broadway Commerce Building at Broadway and Willamette.
The combination of those 2 things, I think, sent a clear message that we had sort of, for lack of a better term, turned a corner in the downtown.
After that came a chain reaction of projects. The new Woolworth building, which filled the 2nd pit, the Capstone Housing Project at 13th and Olive, the addition of the Bijou Metro Movie Theater, and the announcement of the Northwest Community Credit Union headquarters, the Core Campus Project, and the E-Web Riverfront property, just to name a few. All told, Hauser says about $250 million have been invested in downtown over the last 4 years, a remarkable achievement given the slow economic recovery most of the country has faced. Piercy says much of it was due to the community's resolve.
We didn't take no for an answer. If one thing didn't work, we tried something else.
Not only are the efforts paying off, the results are capturing national attention. Lately, downtown has been called one of the best in the whole country, something Lewis says she sees from the ground level.
Because we've got the entertainment and the theater that's new, and we've got more restaurants, and I think what's happening is really positive.
Both bus out front, the Halt Center.
Brian Obie, Eugene's mayor from 1985 to 1988, was the driving force behind downtown's market district, starting with the 5th Street Market in 1979. He says the key to moving forward is attracting more residents to the neighborhood, something he hopes to achieve with a new mixed-use project at East 6th and Oak Streets.
We need to get people living downtown, enjoying downtown. We need to get stakeholders downtown.
Obie praises Piercy and city staff for cooperating with developers.
Have they stood back and asked questions? Yes, and should, and that's their role and that's their job. But by and large, I think they've been very supportive to make things happen.
But even with the accomplishments of the last 4 years, virtually everyone agrees that challenges remain. High on the list of complaints? Bad actors.
I think there's still a challenge around people feeling that there are more people downtown that they would rather not be around than people they'd like to be around.
City Councilor Claire Surratt, whose ward includes portions of downtown, says not everyone engages in proper behavior. But she says much of that could disappear with more residents moving into the area.
The more people we have overall downtown, the less important those kinds of bad behaviors become.
But Obie says city leaders could do more in dealing with the homeless population.
Do I think it ought to be dealt with more directly and more swiftly? I sure do.
Lewis says she's experienced trouble with street people firsthand.
We had customers when we were all down there at 8th and Charlottetown that wouldn't come into the store anymore. That's why we moved here.
But Piercy says it's not necessarily the homeless who cause problems.
Of course, it's not acceptable for anybody to be belligerent or drunk, but I would bet you dollars to donuts that you can't associate that with homeless people.
I think that it's better than it's ever been.
Jess Eldridge, owner of Sweaty Ganesh Yoga, has a shop not far from Charlottetown and 8th. She says she keeps the door locked at night and only calls the police 2 or 3 times a year.
Before, it felt like a place to me where no one would hang out here in the evening. Things shut down at 9 or 10 and nothing was open.
Yeah. Hauser says a year from now, over 3,000 residents will be living downtown, and they'll need retail services that don't exist now. He worries the city could lose momentum if it doesn't sell 2 alleys near East Broadway and High Street, the first step to developing a Whole Foods grocery store on the site.
I just think it's a risk that we could say, boy, we've done a good job downtown, now what? When I think we still have a lot of work to do downtown.
It's the kind of work Eugene Skinner started in 1846, and there's no end in sight. In Eugene, Bob Shaper, KEZI 9 News.